Well, good morning, sisters. It is September 15th, and it is really crazy storm rolled through here last night. I'm not sure if you've experienced crazy storms this year in the parts of the world where you are, but it felt like a car wash was slamming into our house. Anyways, at I think 2 in the morning. But it's nice to see the blue skies reappearing as I take you on my walk this morning. So, sisters, this message is all about how we trip ourselves up, how smart women, smart, capable, working moms, or just women in general, how we trip ourselves up. And what do I mean by that? What I'm talking about specifically is I've been working on myself for basically my entire adult life. And although there is more work always to do in terms of our evolutionary journey, I realized probably something that so many of you already have figured out. So forgive me for being where I am. But despite all the work, despite all the consciousness, despite all the healing, I realized my self-confidence in myself was low at times, and specifically in my capacity to get things done. And why is that important? Well, if you don't believe that you can get things done, you're not gonna be able to take on the big things in your life that you need to do to move your particular needle forward in your life. And I would say that for myself, what did that look like? That looked like I would do things to undermine myself, and I would get frustrated, but I wouldn't change. And considering if you're above the ground, there's more to do, either for the planet to serve others or for yourself, or both usually. And so I understand that this is not a bad thing. This is evidence that I've got things to resolve. But what I would do is I would specifically undermine myself with things that made me feel bad about myself, and then it would make me feel bad about myself. So the other day, I was writing about what that would specifically look like. And in my specific case, I would know that I had important things to get done, but I wouldn't tackle them right away. I would put them off. And that started to make me feel not only stressed, but also made me feel bad about myself because I wasn't tackling the things I needed to tackle. And another example is I would postpone doing some necessary things for myself, some self-care, like getting a haircut, like getting myself looked after in terms of other, just basic self-care things. And that started to make me feel really bad about myself, because then I'm looking at myself every day at some point, and I'm realizing, oh, gotta get to that. Oh, gotta get to that. And I kept putting it off. And if you do enough of these things, I really do believe there is a tipping point you reach where there's some part of your mind or your spirit goes, oh, to heck with this. I'm out. And you switch into distraction and overwhelm, and you don't actually start to progress at all. You actually start to stall out. And I was hanging out in that stalled out place for far too long recently, again. And I had a difficult summer, and so I understand now why I got where I got. But the truth of the matter is when I wrote down all the things that I was doing, I gotta tell you, journaling is so powerful. I've always loved journaling, but I haven't always made time to do it. And because, like you, I am very busy working mom, and there's always a juggling. And when you're a busy working mom, it's never extra. It's always a trade-off. So am I going to clean the house, or am I going to sleep more? Am I going to make a better dinner, or am I going to get my child off to her activities? Do I need to look after one of our animals? Okay, well then that's going to be a trade-off somewhere else. So for me, it's always like this running trade-off. But I finally did the journaling. And what was powerful about the journaling in this case for me was writing it all out. And when I wrote it all out, I became aware. And I tell you, it's like that whole concept of you can't unring a bell. And so I'm aware and I'm staring at it, right? When it's rolling around in my head, it's there, but it's not out. And when you get it out on paper, it's now between you, the pen and the paper, and your mind gets it on a different level. So I will say to you that getting these things out helped me realize, and then you know what? I made a choice. It's like I'm trying to love myself more and more, and making myself feel bad about myself through these choices I'm making doesn't serve me. And if I take myself completely out of the mix and just look at it as I'm not able to serve those I love well or my mission well, then it's like, this is a lose-lose. So I know, and forgive me if you're a working mom who has no guilt, but I used to always feel so guilty, and still do at times, well, maybe on the daily, for doing things for myself in that trade-off scenario. But here's the deal. If you keep trading off yourself, you're going to start to sink. And let me tell you, my experience was sinking starts to take everybody down with me. And I love Carrie Peters, who keeps reminding me, a rising tide raises many ships. When you lift yourself up and look after your needs, and whether it's something that you're needing or just stopping a pattern that takes you down, that makes you feel bad about yourself and makes you stressed, then you're going to start to take everybody that you serve and love down with you. And that's not cool. That's not cool at all. And so when I hopefully post this, I'll write down in my note some of the other things that I was doing that was really, really impacting my self-esteem and creating stress. And I just want to share with you that take the time to journal if you can. Just take that trade-off moment. And what never ceases to amaze me is that one action pays really big dividends, right? So we all think when we're doing the trade-offs that everything's equal in terms of impact. But paying a bill, or getting your taxes to your accountant on time, or looking after your own need, or running the dishwasher and getting another load of laundry going are not the same. It's parallel to, if you imagine for a moment, making investments with stocks. Not every stock is the same. When you buy, in our country, Canadian bonds, they pay out at a certain rate, a low interest rate, because they're so stable. But if you buy, a pre-IPO or IPO stock or something in a hot industry, that is riskier, but it's going to pay off potentially bigger dividends to you down the line. It's a bigger yield on that same investment. Well, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If you take that time to journal just a couple of patterns that are just driving you crazy and are minimizing you and making you feel bad about yourself and creating stress for you, if you can take a moment and become conscious of those patterns and write them down, maybe you too will experience a moment where you go, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I doing this to myself? I can make a different choice. And that decision will pay dividends, will pay big dividends, far more than scratching off several other things on your to-do list. Because the reality is, and I never seem to stop remembering this, is that our to-do list will never be done. Our to-do list will never be done. And it's an illusion to think that they will be. So, do you want to continue to drive a broken car, and that car is you? Or do you want to kind of look after the car so that your journey on the road, as you stare at this road, is better, right? And not only for you, but for your mission and for everyone you love, because you affect so many. You're a big-hearted mama. I know if you're here, that's what you are, then hey, consider the choice you're making and the consequence of that, and consider that not every action has the same yield. And let's, like Harry said, let's, like that rising tide lifts all the boats, let's make those choices for ourselves that lifts not only us, but everyone around us, right? So I leave that with you, sisters, mamas, fellow moms. I love you all so much. And I really hope you have an amazing day. And huge hugs and love from Lesia in Ontario. Bye.